Russians praise their T-90M Breakthrough and T-14 Armata tanks, claiming there are simply no better ones in the world. But just like with the second army in the world, it's all just empty words. Since the beginning of the full-scale war, Russians have already lost almost 7,000 tanks. It has come to the point where they are taking out of storage what should have been scrapped long ago. As for their pride, the most modern T-14 Armata tank, the occupiers are afraid to produce it, saying it's too expensive. But these are minor issues compared to the real problems of the tank, which the invaders tactfully keep quiet about to avoid embarrassment.
It has major issues with protection. Its active protection system, Afghanid, doesn't work, it's non-functional. It doesn't fully protect the tank. The tank has an excessively large profile, making it an easy target. The tank has significant problems with its transmission and mobility.
And this is just a small part of the Armata's problems. And while the Russians are shouting from every corner that their tanks are the best, the heavy equipment in Ukraine's arsenal is showing who really rules the battlefield. In reality, there are no old tanks on the battlefield, only those tested by time. And the Soviet T-64 tank fits this description best. But it's Soviet only on paper. Its development was handled by the Kharkiv Design Bureau. The initial work on the project began back in 1951. It was officially commissioned in the year 1967. And after the collapse of the USSR, Ukraine chose the T-64 tank as its main battle vehicle. The Kharkiv Design Bureau equipped the T-64 with a 150mm smoothbore gun D-68 and an ammunition load of 40 rounds, along with a fire control system featuring an optical stabilized sight rangefinder. In addition, Ukrainian developers were the first in the world to install a fully automatic loader for 30 rounds on a tank. A novelty for the Soviet Union was the composite armor, which was also installed by the Ukrainians. Throughout its existence, the tank underwent numerous modifications. In independent Ukraine alone, the T-64 was modified at least 7 times. Developers improved the armor, installed new optics, a fire control system, and more. The T-64 BM2 Bulat, for example, received the duplet dynamic protection and an improved engine. And although the tank, due to its age, has drawbacks such as not being equipped with a digital fire control system, there are aspects in which it surpasses even new Western tanks.
One of the best tanks today in terms of mobility is the highly regarded T-64.
And although the T-64 had a number of advantages, Ukrainian designers understood that the country needed a tank that would not be inferior to Western models. This became the Oplot, the pride of Ukrainian tank engineering.
The Oplot, with the innovations and characteristics it incorporated, was one of the best tanks in the world at the beginning of the 2000s. And in principle, this tank was on par with, and in some aspects even surpassed, 8 Western models, while being head and shoulders above all Russian variants, let's call them Soviet Russian, such as the T-72, T-80, T-90.
However, it is important to make a distinction here. First, in the late 1990s, Ukrainian developers introduced the T-84 Oplot. And we will talk about the one that was adopted by the Ukrainian army in 2009, namely the BM Oplot. This was a comprehensive modernization of the tank, and it was immediately favored by both Ukrainians and foreign customers. Thailand was the luckiest. While the Ukrainian army could boast of only one or 2 heavy machines, almost 50 Oplots went to Asia. The fact is that Ukrainian weaponry won the tender, defeating the Russian T-90 and the German Leopard 2. In 2014, the developers of the Oplot faced difficulties. Certain parts of the tank were Russian, and they had to find replacements. And in 2018, the Oplot began to be upgraded, taking into account the military experience in Donbass. So what makes the Ukrainian tank so good? The Oplot, although it is, roughly speaking, an evolution of its Soviet predecessors, its characteristics prove that you would have to look hard to find such tanks in the West. The Ukrainian BM received, in particular, a digital fire control system and an automatic loading system. Thanks to the latter, the crew consists of 3 instead of 4 people. In addition, the rate of fire is quite fast, 8 rounds per minute. The tank's firepower consists of a 125mm smoothbore gun, a coaxial machine gun, and an anti-aircraft machine gun. However, the highlight of the Ukrainian armament is not even this. One of the most important features of the Oplot is its armor. It's practically impossible to penetrate it.
One of the best concepts of dynamic protection has been implemented. Placement on the turret itself, placement of dynamic protection. On the tank itself, on its hull, the upper part, the upper frontal part, the lower frontal part, and so on. That is, it is maximally protected and uses certain angles of inclination of the dynamic protection, which allows reducing the impact effect of the striking means.
Armor is what they are known for in the West. The most important thing for them is to protect their crew. And in the next tanks, we will talk about the armor is among the best in the world.
Western tanks are also distinguished by a high level of crew protection, a high level of armor, and the minimization of vulnerable areas allow the tank to be maximally protected from being penetrated in a vulnerable zone by various means of attack.
Our top list simply couldn't be complete without the German tank Leopard. This is the tank that proved to be indispensable on the Ukrainian battlefield.
One of the most effective in its functionality turned out to be the Leopard 2. And not the A4 variant, but starting from the Leopard 2A6, Leopard 2A5.
The German Beast was the first tank manufactured after World War II. Work on it began in the 50s and it was commissioned in 1965. The Leopard is rightfully considered one of the best in its class. As proof, the German is in service in 12 countries around the world. All this is due to the fact that the tank combines the main components of effectiveness on the battlefield. Here we have the firepower of a 120mm gun, a high level of protection, maneuverability, and an excellent fire control system. Of course, like any weaponry, to maintain demand, the tank needs constant improvement. And the Leopard is precisely the tank that does not stand still. Thanks to the developers, all these 4 components we mentioned earlier have certainly only been improved. We talk about demand. How can we not mention the tank that almost every country in the world dreams of? We're talking about the American Abrams. Its history began in the 70s, and it was adopted by the US military in the 1980s. This is a tank that has already been through fire, water, and the trials of battle, proving its effectiveness. The United States has used the Abrams in all military operations since the 90s. And there have been quite a few. The tank has been through the Middle East, Iran, Afghanistan, and Yemen. The highlight of the tank is that the Abrams became the first to be equipped with anti-tank shells with depleted uranium. Thanks to this, the ammunition can damage any other equipment. It should also be noted that the Abrams, like all Western weapons, has very powerful armor. The American is covered with composite armor made of steel, ceramics, and Kevlar, as well as additional protection over the running gear, rear parts, and fuel tanks. It is precisely because of its powerful armor that the Abrams is considered one of the heaviest tanks. Its weight is about 57 tons. However, the first place still belongs to the British tank. The Challenger weighs 64 pound-tons. Moreover, additional armor modules have been developed for the British tank, which increase its weight to 75 tons. This tank rounds out the top 5 tanks in service with the Ukrainian army.
An excellent fire control system, a superb, one might say, sniper grade of 120 caliber gun.
The tank is capable of hitting 5 to 7 targets per minute. The gun itself is rifled and made of steel. The gun can be considered the highlight of the Challenger. Its ammunition load includes 52 shells. Here you have armor-piercing, fin-stabilized sub-caliber shells and high-explosive fragmentation shells. In addition, there are unique armor-piercing, high-explosive shells. They can hit a target at a distance of up to 8 kilometers, which is almost twice the range of sub-caliber ammunition. There are many other good tanks and weapons in the world that Ukrainian defenders would certainly find useful on the battlefield. And we hope that soon the armed forces of Ukraine will receive even more high-quality and effective weapons. And we will definitely tell you all about it. In the meantime, like this video, write in the comments about which weapons you would like to hear, and also subscribe to the channel, so you don't miss new episodes of Arsenal.